Our next and last speaker in this session is Igor Vranic, a Croat, not coming from Croatia. He is a young Bonfim Fellow at the European University Institute in Florence in Italy, at the Department of History and Civilization, where he is doing his PhD, and his paper is entitled Political Patriotism in the Late Habsburg Empire, the Case of Isidor Krishnavi. Igor, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you for inviting me and accepting my paper. So, dear colleagues, after the failed process of unification in the first part of the 19th century, numerous public workers, politicians, scholars, bureaucrats started to research and deal with various cultural, linguistic and religious groups living inside the Habsburg monarchy. In the 19th century, governing the society as heterogeneous as the Habsburg monarchy became more challenging due to the raising calls and actions for political autonomy or independence. One of the means to overcome such differences was the politics of unity and diversity from Viennese liberal circles, which also found many followers throughout the monarchy, including first professional art historian in Croatia and later Minister of Religious Affairs and Education, Isidor Krishnavi. According to such opinion, the Habsburg monarchy was seen as the necessary frame binding people together and allowing everyone to prosper. Although the main aim of such project was to create a political nation composed of various cultural, ethnic and religious elements, it also deepened the divisions by producing a centralized and stereotypical representation of particular groups. The main idea behind such a worldview of the liberal Viennese circles of the mid-19th century, including Krishnavi, was that it was possible to shape public opinion through the education of the wider masses. Although these teachings were adopted by some of the intellectuals, their implementation among the population failed. The main idea behind such project was to amortize rural nationalism by education of the wider masses. Instead, the wider masses were nationalized by various public workers with whom they had direct everyday contact. Main aim of this paper is to present how Krishnavi's worldview was shaped and reflected through his education, public work and professorship at the University of Zagreb. Having been educated in the liberal circles in Vienna, Krishnavi's positive stances towards the king and emperor and the monarchy were likely formed as a result. It is not difficult to imagine how life in the mid-19th century Vienna could have influenced worldview of young men coming from lower strata of society, such as Krishnavi, who studied painting and art history in the late 1860s. Habsburg monarchy not only provided him education and better life, but also brighter future if he was to continue. It seems that Krishnavi was more interested in art and cultural matters than in politics at the beginning of his career. Since art history was a new discipline, there was a lack of experts throughout the Europe. Such situation enabled Krishnavi to become acquainted with the Yugoslav circle around the Bishop of Đakovo, Josip Juraj Strossmayer, since they needed his expertise in cultural matters, such as transportation of Strossmayer's painting collection to newly established gallery of old masters in Zagreb, or expert opinion during the construction of Đakovo Cathedral. After his return to Zagreb in the mid-1870s, Krishnavi became one of the leading figures in the art society, besides his work at the university. The art society soon established itself as a key institution for the matters related to both historical and contemporary Croatian art and crafts. Following his professor from Vienna, Rudolf von Eitelberger, Krishnavi organized Arts and Craft Museum, the craft school, and started researching folk art, believing that it still preserved and reflected nominal character of the nation. Unlike art galleries, whose role was to glorify individual genius and high culture, craft museums celebrated classless society, collectivism, and the genius of the nation. They also implicitly tied nation to the particular territory of which particular craft products were found or produced. Krishnavi's ethnographic and whole public work was both empire and nation building, since he wanted to present Croatian nation as an undividable part of the empire that cherished its cultural and ethnic diversity. Therefore, identity he wanted to create would enable people to identify with supranational empire as well as with their local communities. In general, the main idea of Kršnjavi's nationalism was not improving uniqueness and exclusivity, but Croatian membership and participation in the political and cultural life of the West. The West was imagined as a place of interaction of the nations with the culture and history, in contrast to barbarian nations without history and culture of the East. Or as some anonymous journalist of Prosveta Journal formulated it, I quote, "The foreign world has realized that through the observation of artworks, the people who produce them are worthy of living, that they are not barbarians, that they can be useful member of humankind, and that their subjugation or distinction cannot be allowed. This influence of foreign opinions over the artworks can be beneficial. Every nation likes to use this means because it is the most decent and noble way of fighting for the happiness of one's own nation." End quote. One of the main points in proving the membership in the Western cultural circle was the idea a common European culture existed sometime during the history. Some scholars argued for the common Indo-European civilization in the faraway Great Fatherland, while others, including Kršnjavi, argued that Europe had its last common civilization during the times of the Roman Empire. In one of his public lectures, Kršnjavi argued that Croatian affiliation to such civilization could be proven based on the similarity of the ornaments from Croatia to the others across the Europe. I quote, "Forms of ornaments of those various people are in many ways identical or closely related. Artistic expression of those various people is the same because it comes from the same source. Even when I was only familiar with the publications and unsorted collections of the Austrian Museum, I doubted theories of Russian writers who claimed similarity of the artistic motifs from the community of Indo-European people in their great fatherland. What is familiar to us from Schneemann's findings proves that sources for the home crafts should not be searched in a faraway past, but much closer. It seems more probable that the last common culture of European people is a source of those motifs, and not the faraway first one. So, I expressed a hypothesis that all such treasure will be a heritage of classical culture, that we inherited partially from Romans and partially by mediation from Byzantines." End quote. Therefore, Croatia was an equal member of the last common European culture in the antiquity, although Croatians only started inhabiting territories of the contemporary Croatia in the 9th century. They were, in Kršnjavi's view, capable enough to adopt civilized skills and techniques such as aforementioned ornaments and many others. Returning back to Kršnjavi's public work, he lost support of Strossmayer's circle after he helped newly appointed Ban Heddervari to organize Budapest exhibition in 1885. Since Kršnjavi lost political and significant financial background for his projects in culture, he probably saw engagement in politics as one of the most probable ways to successfully materialize his intentions. This was a turning point, and Kršnjavi started to engage in daily politics, firstly as a parliamentary representative of Brod County, today Slavonski Brod, on Heddervari's People Party list, and later as a Minister of Religious Affairs and Education. Kršnjavi was an ideal person for Ban Heddervari's project of presenting recent development of Croatia as a result of the Croatian-Hungarian Compromise of 1868. Kršnjavi's part was to show rapid development of Croatian culture as the result of the same compromise. Even though Kršnjavi established, reorganized and financially funded various institutions and societies dealing with culture and science, Heddervari's project miserably failed during its presentation to Franz Josef in 1895 during his visit to Zagreb. While Kršnjavi was presenting to Franz Josef his newly restored office in classical style, accompanied by singing and recitals of songs from ancient Greece, a group of students burned the Hungarian flag at the main square to protest Hungarian oppression. This act led to Kršnjavi's dismissal from office, and it signified more broadly that Hedemari's modernization project was not as successful as he wanted to present it. More broadly, this incident reflected two opposite approaches to politics. While Kršnjavi and Hedemari were dealing with politics in the mid-19th century manner of high culture with narrow participation of public, usually reserved only for the elite, the new type of political workers emerged who based their work on the nationalization of wider masses of less powerful but more numerous strata of society, such as students, workers, and rural population. Another important aspect of Kršnjavi's national activism and worldview was his work at the university, which he saw as a perfect place to educate the future elite that would later hopefully spread his worldview. Without going into more depth, I will use an example of his lectures on ancient Greece and Rome to show how he tried to teach contemporary state ideals to his students. In his opinions, Greeks were too individual, selfish, and had little respect to the other cultures and diversity. Contrary to Greeks, Romans were seen as ideal models to be followed. Although they had strong central power, all the groups living in the empire were allowed broad autonomy, which enabled all the people of empire to identify with both imperial center and common values of the state, but also with their local cultures. I quote, "Roman patriotism is truly glorious, highly developed, but it is not only national patriotism, but also political. Romans accept all peoples in their state and are not unjust to any people, but leave the peoples their individualities and let them assimilate to Roman state by each people's particular needs. They somehow established that kind of political patriotism and feeling of common cooperation for the progress of the state, the sense of state order, the state culture, and general progress. The political patriotism is best defined without the national characteristics." End quote. Educated in the imperial center and accustomed to life in the multicultural environment, it is no wonder that Kršnjavi admired Rome and possibly considered the Habsburg monarchy its successor, whose role was also to govern different groups of people by allowing them cultural autonomy and providing state legal protection. Kršnjavi probably tried to educate his students the same way he was educated in Vienna, although the political context changed. The main idea of liberal Viennese circles, already mentioned, including his beloved professor Rudolf von Eitelberger, was to shape the public opinion through the education of the wider masses while trying to amortize rural nationalism that was just starting to grow. Similarly to Eitelberger, Kršnjavi failed to notice that the masses were nationalized on a daily basis and that national activists outnumbered university professors and other intellectuals trying to impose alternative worldviews. On the other hand, higher Viennese liberal circles failed to notice that the creation of the new pro-monarchic elite such as Kršnjavi was only possible in the ideal conditions in the imperial center. After new universities opened throughout the monarchy in the second part of the 19th century, such educational policy behind it lost its power, since students were exposed to local nationalisms and remained deeply rooted in their own regional cultures, while local universities were more difficult to control. Also, it was more difficult to spread such ideology at regional universities, usually situated in less wealthy towns, since students probably did not identify with supposedly rich and powerful empire, unlike their professors who experienced pleasures and advantages of life and imperial culture during their studies in Vienna. It seems that the monarchist such as Kršnjavi was more exception than a rule and remained limited to a narrow circle of intellectuals schooled in the mid-19th century Vienna. This kind of intellectual public worker was a halfway between politician of the older generation of aristocracy and upcoming generation of professional politicians, usually coming from the middle class. Most probably, Kršnjavi and his generation were schooled to become potential policy makers and pillars of the society, but they were soon replaced by the younger generation of politicians, although they managed to keep important social positions. Kršnjavi managed to come to power as a creator of cultural revival of Croatia due to Hungarian Croatian settlement, but he was soon replaced after the project failed. He never managed to return to power, although he joined the nationalistic Croatian Party of the Right and radicalized his rhetoric. Despite changed political rhetoric, Kršnjavi stayed rooted in above-described worldview of high culture and narrow political participation of the elite, while failing to adopt to change political circumstances and new ways of practicing politics. We can only imagine how Kršnjavi must have felt after the collapse of the Habsburg Empire in the 1918, with which he identified so much and considered it as a powerful protector who enabled Croatia and many others to develop and prosper. It seems that the type of intellectual like Kršnjavi is not very well researched, since most of the successor states of the Habsburg Empire could not have used them for the creation of their national master narratives. Thank you.